Good morning, everyone. Come on in to Thursday's Public Policy Talks. Today is June the 6th, 2024. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Markee Tate, president of Advancing Black Businesses, chair of the board of the Atlanta Black Chambers. Thank you, Atlanta Black Chamber members, coming in here. This is about you. This is about you participating in this public policy process. All right, y'all, I'm going to be kind of all over the place this morning, starting with some history. See how this fits together this morning with Public Policy Talks. It is 8:31. We are almost underway. 8:31, everybody is coming in. All right. All right, that's several people in the house tonight. Thank y'all for joining this morning on Public Policy Talks. We are almost underway.
I see our Woman Crush Wednesday. Kim Mathis is in the building.
Kim, welcome to the call. All right, Women Crush Wednesday, our Women's League. Got some great announcements for the Women's League coming up soon. One of our strongest affinity groups in the ABC. Hey, y'all, it is 8:32. Thank you for joining Public Policy Talks this morning with Advancing Black Businesses. That is your 501c4 here helping you navigate through this advocacy process in public policy at the local, the state, and the federal level. This is June 6, 2024. Welcome to Public Policy Talks again. I'm going to have a good conversation. We're going to start out with some history. But before we get there, we do have our golf tournament, and I'm gonna finish up with that golf tournament June the 24th. June the 24th, we will be at Top Golf for our annual fundraiser with Advancing Black Businesses. You can also go to Advancing Black Biz. That's advancingblackbiz.org. You can check out what we do as an organization, a 501c4. We write our own bills at the state level. We have written 3 bills at the state level. One starting with just a couple of years ago, where we were looking at doing our own minority set-asides. I hate saying that word from time to time, but when we walk in the Gold Dome and we put things on paper, when into bills, we have to have that word minority. Even though that bill that we wrote centered around minority contracting, we were looking to get any contract under $100,000 as a sole source contract for you as a Black business owner. We could not get that bill out of committee. Y'all. But we actually presented that. We had a bipartisan sponsorship of that bill also a couple of seasons ago. But the golf tournament, again, June 24th, we have our annual DC fly-in September the 12th through the 15th. That's September the 12th through the 15th. We're going to be talking more about that. Also, we'll be going into chat our standard survey. It takes just 2 minutes to complete that standard survey. It is 146 respondents now. Once it gets up to closer to that 200 range, we're going to talk about that again. We're going to talk about the results of that survey again. May 31st. Last week we had our public policy talks on May 30th, but May 31st. And Raquel, I was going to share my screen, but my screen is not in order, but I'm going to just talk about it. The Tulsa Race Massacre went on. Started on May 31st. Lasted until the very next day, June 1st. That's some history. You'll see that going in the chat. I know everybody knows about that Tulsa Race Massacre, but we do not want to. Thank you, Raquel. There it is, right there on the screen. That is a Tulsa Race Massacre. It started in some unfortunate situation in an elevator. A Black man was blamed on doing something to a white lady. I was going to read that, but hey, check that out. The anniversary was last week. Also, that destroyed our Black business district in Tulsa, that Greenwood community. Coming to Atlanta. That actually happened in Atlanta in 1906. We coming home, y'all. 1906. The massacre in the city of Atlanta, going over to Forsyth County, where I don't know if you know about the Forsyth County removal of over 1,100 Black people in Forsyth County. What I understand is that was a removal of all the Blacks in Forsyth County. I was going to show that on the chat, but I can't go back and forth. Excuse me, that'll be in the chat. But just remember, this is not critical race theory. This is our history, and we should embrace that history because we are a resilient group when it comes to our history and where we started and where we are today. We talk about public policy in a sense of public policy allowed those things to happen. And we got some other things that have come up right here in the city of Atlanta, and that is with the Fearless Fund. The Fearless Fund. We're going to talk just briefly about that. But also in the chat, we'll be going, I don't know if you've seen the conversation on the House floor with Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries talking about you better check yourself before you wreck yourself, talking about one of the other congresspersons mentioning about we were better off back during the civil rights movement and before. And he actually went on to talk about what was going on back then during that civil rights movement and just before that civil rights movement. That speech will go in the chat if you haven't seen that. Well, it's not so much of a speech, but those comments on the floor of the House is right there. But the Fearless Fund in the Court of Appeals in Miami, it was decided that the Fearless Fund could not operate in a manner of giving members of our women's league grants in the amount of $20,000. Said we cannot do that because of race at the Fearless Fund. So this is another form of that history that I just talked about. They're pushing through the courts. You probably heard of the name Edward Bloom, who is going around this nation with a couple of different organizations and filing lawsuits based on race. The lawsuit that or actually Supreme Court case that you heard me talk about before on admissions, 2 cases, admissions at Harvard University, admissions at University of North Carolina. That was about race and the racial admissions, or having race as one of the criteria in admissions at those schools, which dissipated or is actually really started the process, the official process of ending what we know as affirmative action, particularly at the college level. That happened many years ago in the state of California, a similar case in the state of California and around race admissions in the University of California systems. And right after that case, the Black admissions to those universities went down the very next year. So we have to fight through public policy every day as Black business owners and Black consumers. I know that is somewhat indirect to getting contracts, but it is directly related to getting contracts when you have money, access to capital, which is the biggest, one of the biggest initiatives of advancing Black business, along with contracting. When you have the attacks on that, when it comes to you as a Black female, as a Black business owner, we need to just show our support of the Fearless Fund. That is right here in the city of Atlanta, in the Atlanta metropolitan area. There's been a lot of attack on DEI programs at the corporate level. There's going to be an AP News article going in. It's talking about what's going on in DEI. I know a lot of us are keeping up with that. I just mentioned the Supreme Court case. Also, I'm going to attempt to share my screen, Raquel. Let me go here to where we had the racial makeup. I want to go over to how I keep up with public policy when it comes to Black businesses. I have a Google alert that reminds me on a daily basis about any articles, any cases in public policy, what's going on with Black businesses as it relates to public policy. So please add this to your existing Google alerts, Black businesses and public policy. Hey, Dwayne Johnson, on one of the public policy alerts, there was a right here. I'm going to show this on the screen. Hopefully that comes up. Dwayne Johnson in Valdosta, Georgia, on the Valdosta Times has an article about Black chambers conduct a DC fly-in. Hopefully you can see that on the screen. Thank you, Dwayne. I see you on with us. Has had an article in the Valdosta Daily Times that actually came up on my black businesses in public policy. Black businesses in public policy. Please look at that as you look and search public policy throughout the internet waves. The internet waves. I do want to get into our golf tournament. Our golf tournament, again, is on June the 24th. June the 24th, our annual fundraiser. Just explain a little bit about the golf tournament because it is at Top Golf. Top Golf, a lot of you probably been to Top Golf. Even the non-golfers have been to Top Golf to have a great time to swing those clubs. Clubs, as you know, are provided at Top Golf. For those avid golfers, please bring your clubs because you want to bring that best club to be very competitive in this tournament. Again, I want to emphasize this our annual fundraiser. It is a best ball scramble. Some of the differences in a regular golf tournament and this golf tournament, you can have up to 6 players on the team. We want at least 4 players per team, but you can have up to 6 players on the team. And just to explain that best ball scramble, out of the 4 to 6 players, we take the best hit to the actual hole. You have 4 chances or up to 6 chances to get as closest to the hole as you can. It's somewhat a simulation. It is electronic. You'll have the screens. You'll hit the ball. You'll be, of course, watching that ball as you drive it into the driving range. But I'm sure you'll be looking at that television screen. That television screen is going to tell you how close you got to that hole. I know I was kind of confused as we were doing the planning processes of this. And I know we had a walkthrough on last week. And I had a question about how do we putt? How do we putt at Top Golf during this golf tournament? Well, you don't actually putt at the golf tournament. So everybody, you don't even have to bring that putter. I know y'all are good at getting those long 10-footers or 20-foot putts like you're in the PGA Tour, but this is a driving tournament. Driving, meaning that you'll have 4 shots per hole for the 5 holes. 4 shots per hole, and you'll be driving, whether you're driving with that 1 iron, you're driving with that pitching wedge, because some of those holes are very, very close. So bring that driving game with you. There's again going to be 20 shots per round. We have 5 holes, 4 shots per hole. You have 20 shots per round. We're going to have 2 rounds. This will last approximately 2.5 hours. During the process of playing golf, just like unlike a golf tournament, we'll be serving the food while the tournament is going on. It'll be buffet style. You'll be able to go swing the clubs. You'll be able to network, walk around. You'll be able to grab that plate, take it back to your bay, and eat while you're playing golf. Also, you'll have 1 drink ticket. The first drink is on us on advancing Black businesses. So looking forward to this process, y'all. Again, and another best thing about this, there's really no rain outs, no rain delays because we're covered at the facility. We'll be on the main level. So as soon as you walk into Top Golf, walk straight out to the bays, make a turn to the left, and you'll come down to see our reserved bays. There will be a hole-in-one contest. A hole-in-one contest. You'll have a chance to win $10,000 for that hole-in-one contest. You know, generally at golf tournaments, you have that hole-in-one contest to win a car. And in some cases, you'll have that car on that or next to that hole, next to that tee box of that par 3. But $10,000, y'all. $10,000. A little different if you are an avid golfer. You have mulligans. You generally buy mulligans for $5. Well, the mulligans are going to be somewhat of the hole-in-one contest. The hole-in-one contest is a fundraiser also. You'll be able to buy as many tickets as you want for the hole-in-one. We have up to 200 tickets that we can sell for the hole-in-one, so you can buy as many as you want to participate in the hole-in-one contest. So the tournament, again, will take 2.5 hours. It will start at 12 noon. 12 noon. So you look at it as an extended lunch. Come out and have a great time. There's also a networking admission also. Networking admission, I'm sure that's already in the chat, that Eventbrite sign up. Again, this is our fundraiser. This is how we advocate with public policy. This is how we fundraise. This is our annual fundraiser, by the way. So we definitely want to see each and every one actually at that golf tournament at Top Golf. What is the time? It is 8:46. 8:46. Today I talked about, public policy. I missed one point, by the way, on the Tulsa race massacre, our Auburn district, downtown Atlanta. What the nail in the coffin for those Black businesses in Durham, North Carolina, where that was one of the strongest Black businesses in the nation, along with Tulsa, that Greenwood district, the Interstate Highway Act. The Interstate Highway Act came through our major cities, our Black districts, and devastated our Black districts by dividing those Black business districts, dividing those Black communities. And that was intentional. That was intentional when the Highway Act was passed in or around 1956. And actually started the process of that interstate highway system. That was all through public policy, also relating to the Fearless Fund. Fearless Fund, you heard me talk about some solutions when it comes to what we're going through when it comes to race-based solutions. That Supreme Court case on admissions and affirmative action kind of put the nail, I say, almost in the coffin for that affirmative action and race-based remedy. That's race-based remedy. You heard me talk a lot about lineage-based solutions. And I was on a call with the U.S. Black Chambers yesterday, Melvin and I actually talked about to the U.S. Black Chamber. Didn't know they didn't know I was going to say anything about it, but we generally give our updates with the Atlanta Black Chambers. And I ended my conversation talking about lineage-based solutions and relating that to the 8A, the SBA lawsuit. I want to say that was in the state of, that was in the state of Tennessee. There was the MBDA lawsuit was in the state of Texas. But that 8A program, we've actually talked in a lot about the 8A program. Last week, Paula Watts was talking about the number of contracting numbers, and that lineage-based solutions is working for Alaska Native corporations. I want to say Paula may have touched on that, but we discovered that the Alaska Native corporations, as we know, and it's well known that they can get up to $100 million in sole source contracting. When the 8A program was started, that was not in, from what I understand, Paula can correct me if I'm wrong, but that was not in the 8A original version. That was actually changed through Alaska Native corporations, Alaska Natives, and tribal communities, but mainly Alaska Natives. That was actually changed. The Alaska Natives lobbied for that to be raised, that meaning that sole source contracting to be raised to $100 million. If you compare the number of Alaska Native 8A firms to the number of Black 8A firms, the number is probably where it has us with many more businesses. But if you look at the awards, the contracting levels of ANCs, the Alaska Native corporations, it is many times higher than Black awards when we talk about the number of awards. And they have a lot less businesses, but many more hundreds of millions of dollars or millions of dollars. I won't say hundreds of it, millions, tens of millions of dollars or more in contracting levels, because that public policy was changed. It was amended to add their sole source contracting at 100 million. ANCs, tribal communities, Native Americans, that is a lineage-based solution for them. You haven't seen where the organizations that Guy just mentioned, Edward Bloom, has not attacked that part. That could happen, but it is harder to attack because that is not race-based. That is lineage-based. Going to what I've talked about on this show before, and I actually said this to the USBC and its staff, that we need to look at where we descend from, that we are 85+% of Black America descends from slavery. You heard me talk about ADOS and that ADOS movement and that advocacy foundation, but they actually came up with this. This is nothing that came from me. They actually came up with that lineage-based solutions and coined that. But that is a true solution for Black America. 85% of our community plus descend from slavery. That is a lineage-based opportunity for us to actually move to. When I see our national organizations or our national pundits that are on CNN and on these mainstream shows, they're more talking about fighting for affirmative action. And I believe we should definitely fight for affirmative action, but it is time for we as a Black community, when it comes to public policy, to get on offense. Get on offense. I'm an ex-college football athlete. I was a defensive player. Defense wins championships, but offense guides the direction of winning that championship also. So what I'm saying to you as a Black business owner, as a Black consumer, it is time for the Black community to get on offense. We are playing a lot of defense. We are leading with voting rights. We're leading with criminal justice reform, and that is great. We definitely have to fight for our voting rights. We have to fight for criminal justice reform, but that cannot continue to be the leading public policy initiative. And because we fight tooth and nail when it comes to public policy as it relates to voting rights, and we should. But when we talk about economic justice, we talk about economics in our community, when there are 70% or just over 70% of the crimes in our Black community are committed because they're crimes of poverty. There are crimes of poverty. We have to move economic justice, economics, contracting, access to capital in all of our organizations nationwide to the forefront. No matter if you are a social organization, you are a business organization, you are a Black chamber, that economic justice has to be at the front. That is how we're going to move our community forward. And when it comes to economics, it has to be first. Yes, we want voting rights. We definitely want criminal justice reform, but it has to be second. It has to be in that third place to economic justice and getting what we deserve in this Americas, in this city of Atlanta, in this Atlanta metropolitan area. This is a home of the civil rights movement, y'all. Public policy is where it's at. It's where it's at. I know that's not the appropriate way to say it, but that's how we win. That's how we enhance everything that we do in our community. Has to start with a public policy initiative to support what we're talking about, and it has to end there. Again, I've said this before, public policy hasn't been our best friend, looking at a history, looking at what I talked about in starting off this program, but we can make that. This is an election year. This is an election year, y'all. This is the time that we renegotiate our relationship, I say, with public policy. You heard me talk about and say that we are heavily Democratic. We vote heavy Democratic. In 2008, 2012, we voted 97 and 96% of us voted for President Barack Obama on the Democratic side. So that is a powerful way to vote. You vote in a block. That is saying the resilience of what you have done, because you had to come together as a block, because in many cases, and that's what we're dealing with now, the other side of the aisle is not the best choice for our community. So I'm not going to get into that part, but you guys know, I know we have that survey out, and one of the surveys was centered around, and it's 856 centered around what party do you support? And most of you actually stated that you support, almost 60 or just over 60% support the Democratic Party. About 11% support the Republican Party. And I think it was actually, that was 17%. That's the number where supported a third party, So that's actually a viable solution also, y'all, starting a black party. But before we get there, let's take over the Democratic Party. We're already here. This is an election year. This is the time that we're pushing those candidates. I know there's some big races, some runoff races, runoff elections locally. There's some runoff elections. So let me be quiet. Hey, we are about to run out of time. It's 8:57 now. We always actually have some time to have a conversation, hear from you. There's Kimberly King, hand raised. Come on, Kimberly King. What's going on?
Good morning, sir. I just wanted to correct one thing. Every year is an election year. We really lose out when we perpetuate that information that this is an election year because we get excited about the federal elections. So many people, if you go back and look at any stats, I don't care which county you lived in, the turnout races for the May primaries, the turnout is abysmal. What folks don't realize, I'm sure this group does, if you look at how redistricting impacted things, whoever you voted for in May, a lot of times won't have an opponent. So you voted in May. So please don't say that this is an election year. Every year, if you live in Atlanta, if you live in Georgia, every year is an election year, and local elections are critical.
Right.
If who's on the school boards, they determine who gets the contracts, who's on the city council, who's on your county commission, who's running for surveyor. So we got to really adjust our thinking every year. And if we're not all voting and asking our friends and family to vote, shame on us, because we know better.
Thank you.
Please just remind people of the dates, the June runoffs. I'll let you remind people, but the June runoffs are coming up, and we need to all show back up. People are being elected to major offices with less than 2,000 votes.
Yes,
look at the numbers. That's it. I just want to say so. Thank you. Okay. All right.
Thank you for that correction. You are so right. Every year is an election year. Every year is an important year. Thank you for that correction. Do we have any other hands raised? Any other hands raised to have a conversation? Put your 2 cents, put your quarter worth, put your dollar worth in. Montina Young Frazier, thank you for coming on. We definitely want to hear from you.
Yes, I'm always coming on. Thanks for hosting these calls, Markee. And I just have one thing that I have put in the chat. What is the one thing, as we come on these calls, you share a lot of great information. A lot of us are following. But what is the one thing that we can do as a collective to take action on after each of these calls to focus on to move Black businesses forward this week? So Kimberly King, I thought you were DOT because that's Kimberly King there. But what are we going to focus on? What is our one unified voice? When we get off the chat, we either go to LinkedIn or promoting it. I don't know. I just want to make, a larger impact instead of, us moving. We got to start moving in unison. We're all talking, but okay, we get off the call and then we're hyped up again next week. But what are we going to do? So that's all I just had a question on.
Okay. Do you want me to answer that question, or you posing that question to everybody, Montina?
Listen, we here together. Markee, you're our leader, so I guess maybe we pose it to you first, and if we want to, as a collective, come up with some solutions and pose them to you for our next call to support you. But again, once we exit this call, how do we have one thing that we're going on this week that we're saying. So again, I'm posing it first to you, but if you want us to come together and I'm happy to spearhead it. I don't suggest things that I'm not willing to own. But I'm just saying, as we exit this call, we all sign up for Google Alerts. But do you want us to share a specific article? Do you want us to go on and talk about something so that we can move what we're talking about forward?
Okay, I don't want to answer that question at this moment, but I do want to. That's a dang good question. I want to start some kind of focus group or something to move that, because I don't want to say the wrong thing right now. I know what I can say, but I want to start. I know I'll be on vacation next week. Martina, I think we've talked to you about next week. I want to, yeah, think about that question. What do we want to do each and every Thursday, or really every day? What's that one thing? I know I can think of a lot of things, and I can't combine that into one thing, but I definitely want us to be an advocate for Black business owners and Black consumers. That's definitely one, but I want to come up with that concise one thing of what we want to do. And I think we can pull that together as a team, as a group, as members of the Atlanta Black Chambers. So let's set something up as soon as we can to have that conversation, or that conversation can start next week by you, Martina, on this call. And let's continue that when I get back the following week.
Okay.
And we can actually come to a conclusion at the golf tournament on June the 24th. I would love to have it that way. So let's talk about that, because you posed a great question. And everybody, we are actually over 2 minutes. We have 2 more comments in here. Thank you, Martina.
Okay.
Who do we have? That's Miss Evans. I think you're up next. What's going on?
Hello. Yes, my name is Afia Evans. I am actually relatively new to the area and new to ABC, so this is actually only my second time joining. So I'm loving this. I'm loving all of this conversation. I'm an image consultant and a political consultant for high level and public policy, public facing individuals. And I believe that whenever our folks show up as their best selves, the world is changed, as we've discussed today. And I am asking this question because I put it in the chat, and I think Raquel was telling me to go ahead and ask it in the forum. I purchased a Bay sponsorship for the PAR in politics, and I haven't been able to get in touch with anyone in terms of how to submit my marketing materials. So I just wondered, is there anyone specifically I need to reach out to make sure we do that? Because I will definitely be in the place and would like to make sure that I get that going. So this is great. This is wonderful. Loving the conversation. Thank you.
All right, we're going to speed that process up. Raquel, can you put my cell phone in the chat? Or I guess I can do that myself. I'm going to just give me a call or text right after the show, and I'll be reaching out to you. I have a ABB board meeting coming up right after this, and let's talk somewhere around 10:30ish, and we'll get that process started. Do apologize for not being able to get in contact, and thank you for your support of Advancing Black Businesses Annual Golf Tournament, Ms. Evans. Thank you. Let's see. That number is in the chat. All right, Janae, what's going on?
Hey, man. Hey, Markee. Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to have a quick point of clarification on the ANC Tribal Sole Source Awarding, just to let the consortium know that in the DOD, that threshold is up to 100 million. In the civilian agencies, it's 25 million. But what I want to emphasize, if you are an 8A and even a woman-owned, you have the ability to sole source up to 4.5 million. So I just wanted to put that out, just in case everybody. And of course, we know that the history of American Indians and Natives is a little different from ours. And I'm not trying to say they should pit us against each other. But I will say, unfortunately, a lot of these ANCs have been overrun by white males as far as leadership. So let's be mindful, even though that they say it's going towards the tribes, and in many cases it is. But some of these things you see in the embodiment of casinos and some other things that are enriching other groups. So, but again, 100 million for DOD contracts, 25 for civilian, and 4.5 if you're 8A. All
right. Thank you, Janae. You kind of speaking our language, but Paula actually put me on to some things. You kind of touched on that. I know, Paula, I know you're shaking your head behind the screen right now. So I know that's what we discovered. What you mentioned, that the makeup of those ANCs and who's running those ANCs. So, hey y'all, this is 9:05. We're only 5 minutes behind. This has definitely been a great conversation. Montina, let's talk later on today, Montina, about that. You posed that question. All
Yes,
right,
sir.
let's have that conversation. All right, y'all. Thank you for joining Thursday's Public Policy Talks, 8:30 to 9:06 a.m. today. Have a great week. Looking forward to seeing y'all next week or possibly in 2 weeks. I'll be on vacation next week, be on a cruise. Y'all gonna have a great time. I know y'all been on many cruises. So I'm gonna have a good time. So thanks a lot. Y'all have a good one. Barry Love,
Enjoy.
what's going
You
on?
deserve it.
Thank you. Thank you. And I may actually be on the call, y'all. I'm going to see what I can do. Maybe on this call. We'll see what happens. All right.
Well, we'll
Thanks,
let you
Dwayne.
slide.
Enjoy your
yourself.
vacation, Markee.
Right.
Enjoy your
Have a
vacation.
good one, everybody.
All right. Y'all have a good one, y'all.
Have a good one.
All right.